Hello everyone and welcome back to our 365 clone with PyQt5. If this is your first time watching this series, then the link is in the description below to the full playlist. You will also find a link to the source code and all other files and resources used in this tutorial. In this episode, we build a functionality that checks and prompts the user to save a file before closing the application. So let us get right into it. And then this function or the method we're about to write comes with PyQt, and all that we have to do is to tap into that method and then put in our own logic to make it behave in the way that we want it to. And so we have to declare the self.close event, this one. And then in here we can erase the arcs and quirks and then replace this one with event for short, or let's make it event will do. That's the only argument we need, so the arcs and quirks are not really necessary at the moment. And let's be safe to wrap it in a try except block. How should we even call this exception? Maybe close event error. Then we display the particular error so that we know how to deal with it. So inside here, we will make a couple of decisions. So the first one is, of course, if the application, the test edit is empty and the user has not opened any file also, then we have to close the application straight away because there's nothing to save. And also, if the user has opened the file, such that the file has been opened in the editor, and so the editor is not empty, the file has also been opened, and the user has not made any modification to the opened file, then we also have to close it straight away because there's no changes to save. Other than that, then in all the other scenarios, we have to prompt the user to save the file before closing. So in the case where there is a new file and it has not been saved, or an existing file has been opened and modified and it's not saved, then the user has to save it before exiting, or we prompt the user to save it before exiting. So let us do the easy ones first. The first one is to check the first one is no file opened and editor empty. That condition will be if not self.filename. So if not self.filename, and also if self.textedit dot to plain text. That one too is empty, then we know that we are exiting. But in the second scenario, we are checking if there's a file name and the file has been changed. Let's come to these functions.py file we created early in the tutorial series, and then write some functions in there. The function that will check if the file has been modified. We don't want to write everything in that small piece, it will make it clumsy. So we want to define a function called file change. And this will take in two things. It will take in the file name of the file we want to check, that is the file that has been opened, and it will also take in the editor text. So file name. And in here we will open the file and then check. So with open file name, and I want to open it in the read mode. Then I will create a variable called existing, which will be equal to the file dot read. So we should read the file for us. And then in here we can just return the statement either true or false. So return true. We want to return true if existing, this existing, okay, we will pass it in there, so we will take care of that. Existing equal to then we want to return true if existing equal to the editor text, else false. So this is what we call a Python ternary operator. Is the shorthand for writing blocks of if elif statement. I can make it this way, that if existing equal to editor text, then return true, else return false. This is the normal way of writing it, 4 lines, but you can also write it in this just 1 line. This one and this one, they perform the same function. They are the same, but I prefer this one rather. So this one will check it for us and then give us the feedback so that we know what to do with it. But I'm sure we have already imported our functions file, because I think we have used it before, yes. But let's see whether we imported the file itself or the functions one by one. So from functions, import everything. So we have everything from the functions, and then we can use it in our application. The second one is to save the file or save a modified file. But before we go ahead and save the modified file, let's just save the new file first, because of how Python will do the checking. So in that case, we want to check whether the file is new. In that case, there will be no file name, and the editor will have some text. So we can actually just copy this one to do the checking. So that one, there will be no file name as usual, but this one will not be empty. And then when that happens, we can ask the user a question whether to save it or not. So let's say ask equal to this one be a kill message box dot question, and we pass in a couple of parameters here. The first one is self, of course. And then the second one is the title of the window that will show up. So save file before exit. Can make it that way. Save file before closing. The third one is the question that we want to ask the user. So I'll put that one on a new line. This new document hasn't been saved. Do you want to save it before closing? Before closing. And then the third one is to get the buttons also. So the buttons that will appear down there. Okay. The first one we want down there is the queue message box does yes. So queue message box does yes. And then using this pipe symbol, we separate it. We want queue message box does no. And then we bring another pipe, queue message box dot cancel. So these are the three buttons we want when the prompt shows. But we can let the default one be selected. Just that we not do that one for now. So now this is the full prompt that the user will see. And then we can do something based on what the user's answer was. If ask was equal to queue message box dot yes. So if the user accepted to save the file, then we'll call the file self.filesave. I'm hoping that we call it that way. Save file, yep. So we save the file, then after that we exit. But if the person chose cancel, that if the prompt that came, the person chose cancelled, that one we have to create a condition for that. Then we have to, in that case, we have to ignore the closing signal. This event will throw a signal, so we have to now ignore the signal so that nothing will happen. That one will be Qt GUI dot queue close event dot ignore. So dot ignore. And then in here we pass in the event parameter that we used up there. But please make sure that you have Qt GUI imported. Qt pack85.qt GUI. So I think we've done quite a lot. Okay, let's finish this one, then we'll test it out and see, because we are already building some complex and deep functionality. So if the person did not choose yes or cancel, then the person chose no. So in that case, the person does not want to save the file, even if there is any changes. So just go ahead and then exit. So we can test this functionality for no file opened, and then when we have created a new file. Let us run our code and see. Okay, this no file has been opened. Editor is also empty, so we just close it and then it closes. But let's run it again and see. And then now let's type in something and then try closing it. And then we get a pop-up here that this new document has not been saved. Do you want to save it before closing? I choose cancel, I come back. I choose no, it will close it automatically. But if I choose yes, the pop-up will come for me to save it, and then immediately after saving it, this one will close. So if I say save test, or let me put space between them, save test, and then I hit save, it will save it, and then the file will close. And then how will I know that it's saved? If I go back to try and open, you see that this save test was actually saved before the file closed. So yes, at least we know that the first part is working. So now we have to deal with the part that the file exists and the file has been changed. In that case, can copy it will not be so different from this one that we have built, the second option. So what I can do is to copy that code and carefully paste it, because it will be the same, just that just a few things will change. Okay. Okay. But in this case, we want to check if file has been changed. So you delete all of this and then leave file changed. And in here, we have to provide a file name, which will be self.filename. And then we have to provide the editor text also. So self.textedit dot to plain text dot strip. That will be the text that will be passed in to do the checking. And then in here, we can go ahead, ask the question. This one will be this document has been modified. Do you want to save changes before closing? And then this one, all the rest will be the same. And then if the person chooses yes, of course, save the file and then exit, and then ignore also. Or instead of saying this new, this shouldn't be this new document. It should be the file name itself. So we convert this one to an F string, and then in here we say self.filename. Just to tell us that the particular file that we open has been modified, and then we can go ahead with that. So save a modified file. We can now test our code and see. We know that the other one is working, so I'll not bother myself with that. If I've opened this file, now let me just add 1D to the change and then try closing. Okay, this one exists. It says we have an error. No such file or directory, dummy.txt. Okay. I think this error will be coming from this particular line 260 because we are checking the file name instead of the self.path. We have to open the full path, not the file name itself. The file name is just the file name and the path is the full path to the file, which is the one that we need to do the checking. So let me add one more D, and then this one also closes again. So since this particular logic did not work, okay. I don't think there's anything wrong with this functionality. Because two things are working here, let's check the file change and see. File change, we open the file, we read the file, return true. If, okay, this is where the error is. We are checking if the file has been changed. So it should rather return true if the existing, this is the file that has been read, the content of the file is not equal to the editor text. If it is not equal to the editor text, that is when the file has been changed. But if they are equal, then the file has not been changed. So let us run this one and see. Hopefully it will do what we want it to do for us. Then add 1D. Okay, so now it is working perfectly, saying to us that dummy.txt has been modified. I do want to save changes before closing. If I choose no to close, if I choose cancel to go back, and if I choose yes, I know you already know what will happen because of the previous one. So I'll choose no and then let it close. And then we have checked for all these cases. We have to provide the else case. The else case is if none of these ones is also the case. If none of this is also the case, then we have to close the application anyway. So else system dot exit. Let us test our functionalities one more time, at least all three. So this is a new document. Try and close it to tell me that the new document has not been saved. I want to save it. I want to cancel now. Open a file. I'll not change it. I'll close it. It closes. Open a file again. And then this time around, add one more A. And then I get a prompt that I have to change it. Okay, so that will be all for this video. If you like the video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and then consider subscribing if you are new. I will see you another time with another video. But for now, thank you for your time. Bye-bye.